Hello, and welcome to the Movie Universe. I'm your host, Movie Fan. Today, I'll be doing a special Christmas episode, one entitled Bah Humduck, a Looney Tunes Christmas. This little video was requested by my friend Captain Imagination, so this one's for you, buddy. As the title implies, it is basically a Looney Tunes version of A Christmas Carol. The only difference here is Daffy Duck is playing Ebenezer Scrooge. However, if you're expecting this to be another version of A Christmas Carol, well, this one's very different compared to all the others I've ever come across. Because in this case, even though he is playing Ebenezer Scrooge, Daffy is not called Ebenezer Scrooge. He is just called Daffy Duck. And unlike the book by Charles Dickens, instead of it taking place in the 1800s just as he had written, this story takes place in the modern times, where Daffy owns a superstore that has, well, everything. He's super greedy, he works his employees down to the ground, and his employees, as you could tell, are other famous Looney Tunes characters like Elmer Fudd, Speedy Gonzales, Marvin the Martian, Sylvester, Gossamer, and his version of Bob Cratchit is Porky Pig. Daffy meets Bugs Bunny, who happens to be shopping at the place, and he says, "You better watch it, mister, or else there's going to be 3 ghosts coming to haunt you." Of course, Daffy doesn't believe him. He says, "Buy something or get out," and he basically accuses him of being a Scrooge, and he says, "You might as well say, bah humduck," and all of a sudden he's trying to say bah humduck just because he liked the sound of that. Yeah, we're off to a pretty lousy start, aren't we? And after meeting Bugs and being a jerk to his employees a little more, Sylvester comes in. Or I should say, the ghost of Sylvester. Obviously, he's playing Jacob Marley, and he is there to tell him that he should change his ways or else, and he'll be haunted by 3 spirits. But it seems to me he's doing more of a job of scaring the pants off of Daffy, so to speak. But just like in the book, 3 ghosts come to haunt him. Actually, no, they don't. They come to beat the living crap out of him because he's constantly shooting off his mouth and everyone keeps hitting him. The ghost of Christmas past is Granny and Tweety, and Granny is constantly clobbering him with her candy cane. And for this, we get a different perspective on why he's such a jerk. Instead of the usual rotten past story like we're all familiar with, this time he was actually an orphan. No mention of a girlfriend, no mention of a sister, no nothing. And then we come to the ghost of Christmas present, who is played by Yosemite Sam. Again, he proceeds to beat the living crap out of Daffy for not caring about what he's doing to his employees. Because, he's such a jerk, a penny pincher. He works them down into the ground. He won't let Marvin the Martian take the day off to go back to Mars for the holidays. And after getting beaten up during that session, we come to the ghost of Christmas future, who is played by Taz. This scene is probably the most different out of the whole story because it goes around the part about him being dead and nobody cares. However, there's a twist. Porky Pig and his daughter are there to visit his grave, and we hear tell that the store is shut down because he tried to sign the will to himself, which is completely illegal, therefore putting all his employees out of work, and yet there's still one person who actually cares about him, and that would be Porky's daughter. She actually still pities him after all that he's done. And of course, it's the usual story. Daffy wakes up, he realizes what a jerk I've been, so he does everything he can to make his employees happy. He gives them all bonuses, gives them all a long vacation. He even gives Marvin the chance to go home and visit Mars. He actually has a rocket built just for that occasion. But as the festivities are going on, he starts to wonder, what the heck am I doing? This isn't me. But then Porky's daughter shows up, offers him a cookie, and he goes back to being the good guy once again. And that's how it pretty much ends. Now, I know you've already figured out by now that I really hate this one. This is one of the worst versions of A Christmas Carol that I have ever seen. Why? It's really quite simple. The whole time, it's just about him getting beaten up. And not to mention, it doesn't follow the story very well. Oh, sure, it follows the central core of it, but that's it. Whenever I watch this movie, I feel like I'm watching Space Jam, right at the part where he's got dead silence when he walks out into the court, and he goes, "Oh, that's what's going on here. Let's all diss the duck." That's what I feel when I watch this. It's just them dissing the duck. the whole time. What really bugs me the most is how this is really not true to A Christmas Carol. Like I said, it does follow the central core of it. However, I've seen way better than this. Let's see, there's Mickey's Christmas Carol, the George C. Scott version of Christmas Carol, the Muppets Christmas Carol, and of course there was Bugs Bunny's Christmas Carol, which is way better than this. Every one of those films added their own little spin on it, but they all follow the story very closely. Even the Bugs Bunny version, which was only 8 minutes long because it was just a small TV short, that actually did a good job of following it. I mean, sure, they did change it up big time by Bugs mostly scaring the pants off of Yosemite Sam by putting on a white sheet and making a whole bunch of racket, but it was still funny. This movie isn't really funny at all, except for a few small bits, and those bits are few and far in between. Like there's a couple times when he does his usual daffy, clumsy shenanigans. And of course then there's the big moments with all the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. For Christmas past, one word: boring. Just watching Granny beat the living tar out of him with a candy cane does not impress me at all. In fact, it bores me to tears. For Yosemite Sam, it's the same thing as far as I'm concerned. The only difference is, when Daffy's being a jerk, I cannot help but say, boy, he sure had that coming, when Yosemite Sam kicks him or slugs him. So I say good for Yosemite Sam on that one. And then we come to the Ghost of Christmas Future, which I gotta admit actually made me laugh because it's Taz, and when he first meets him, he starts talking to him with his usual Tasmanian devil voice, and he's saying, "Who are you?" "Ghost of Christmas Future." And of course Daffy can't understand him, so he's going, I'm sorry, what was that again? "Christmas Future." There's even a part where Taz is crying because of what he sees Porky's daughter doing, because it's so touching. That's just downright funny. And to me, one of the most funniest moments with Taz is when Daffy starts to realize what a jerk he's been, and he's trying to say the lines from Charles Dickens of, "Spirit, please tell me all these things can be changed," and he's shaking Taz, and he just goes, "Ugh." And Daffy says, "That was just rude." That's actually funny to me, because you would not expect that from a serious moment like this, you know? So, Bah Humduck, have you seen it? If you haven't, I would say probably avoid this like the plague. However, if you're one of those kind of people who just loves to watch Daffy get beaten up all the time, this might be for you. It certainly isn't for me, that's for sure. Before I go, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. This is Movie Fan, signing off.